Good morning, Mr. Garabedian. Thank you again for agreeing to talk to Church Militant about Theodore McCarrick's criminal trial. Your work with sex abuse victims is legendary. Our audience likely recalls that the 2015 Academy Award-winning film Spotlight features you, or rather Stanley Tucci portraying you. So now we're coming to another Massachusetts case. Our audience is very interested in the McCarrick criminal trial. Obviously, the state of Massachusetts is representing Mr. Grein in this criminal proceeding, but you've had some involvement in the case as well. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I represent the complainant in the criminal case in civil cases in the state of New York and in the state of New Jersey, who alleges he was sexually abused by former Cardinal McCarrick for years upon years, as a child and as an adult.
So in what way are you assisting with or involved in the criminal trial in Massachusetts? I mean, allow me to just clarify. I mean, isn't the prosecution handling that, or how does that work?
Yes, my client went to the authorities in Massachusetts to seek a criminal action against former Cardinal McCarrick because my client was sexually abused as a child in Massachusetts by former Cardinal McCarrick.
Yeah.
And because of a quirk in the law, criminal law in Massachusetts, which states that if a perpetrator or alleged perpetrator sexually abuses a person in Massachusetts, then resides outside of the state of Massachusetts, a criminal case is within the statute of limitations if the perpetrator left the state or the alleged perpetrator left the state while the victim's complaint or when the criminal action took place was within the statute of limitations.
Yeah, okay. What's your opinion about how the prosecution is proceeding in Massachusetts? What are your observations about it?
My experience with the district attorney's office in Massachusetts is they're very thorough. They move slowly, but they move thoroughly. They're great advocates for victims of sexual abuse and clergy sexual abuse.
So the prosecution or the defense on Friday raised a question about, or they revealed something about how the direction of their defense. They're talking about Mr. McCarrick's mental competency, and then they're also saying, that the case is 50 years old, and so why are we prosecuting it? Or, I'm just telling you how it seemed to me. Could you talk about what you saw in that document that was filed on Friday?
Sure. The age of the case is often used as a defense, not only by defense attorneys in criminal cases, but by the Catholic Church itself when they say these cases are too old, they can't be prosecuted. But in fact, there is no statute of limitations in murder cases. And in murder cases, due process, whether it be procedural or substantive, works fine. So there's no reason why due process, whether it be procedural or substantive, can't work fine in a clergy sexual abuse case that is 50 years old. Now, what I have often seen in the decades I've been representing victims of clergy sexual abuse is the defense eventually tries to block a trial from going forward or get the case dismissed by claiming that their client is incompetent, old, infirm physically or mentally, and can't assist in the trial, in the defense, his own defense, and can't provide the defense attorneys with information. And McCarrick and his attorneys have taken a page out of that playbook, which is always used by the Catholic Church. Now, whether former Cardinal McCarrick is incompetent or not, I don't know. And it's going to be a battle of the experts. The defense has provided an expert. The court may get McCarrick evaluated as to his competency, and then there'll be a hearing possibly about McCarrick's competency. So the issue of competency has just gotten rolling, and we're going to have to see it play out over the ensuing months.
Do you think the prosecution anticipated that? I mean, surely they anticipated that this would come up.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, the criminal case, McCarrick's criminal case, is not that old. I mean,
Right.
it's not that old, and I'm sure the prosecution has seen this in cases that are clergy sexual abuse, whether they're clergy sexual abuse cases or not clergy sexual abuse cases. McCarrick is trying to get his case dismissed in any way possible, and he's using the competency issue at this point. I'd like to point out that although I can't get into the substance of it, in November of 2020, I took Father McCarrick, former Cardinal McCarrick's deposition for more than 6 hours. And so, he did answer questions for more than 6 hours when I questioned him.
Yeah. When did you say that was? 2020?
November 2020, yes.
Yeah. So, well, that's very interesting. And in fact, allow me to ask a question about that deposition. Of course, the prosecution in Massachusetts was trying to use testimony from that deposition in the criminal trial in Massachusetts. How did that turn out? Did they ever get access to that, or?
Not to my knowledge. I believe the counsel in the criminal case were trying to get access to that deposition, but I don't believe. Say that again, please. I don't think they were trying to get access to his deposition, were they?
I thought so. I thought so. So they.
I thought it was my client's deposition.
Oh, well, I think there was confusion about it. So,
Yeah.
so they asked for McCarricks, but they actually really wanted maybe Mr. Grein's. I'm not sure. Anyway, I was just wondering where those requests to the state of New Jersey stood.
As far as I know, neither the prosecution nor the defense gained access to anyone's deposition in the civil cases involving Father McCarrick, which could then be used in the criminal cases.
So back to your comment about the fact that in 2020 you deposed him for 6 hours and he seemed fine in maintaining focus for that period of time. But the document that was filed with the court on Friday was saying, that his mental decline had come on suddenly and that he was deteriorating rapidly. Obviously, you are not a neurophysiologist or anything, but could you comment on the fact that they're saying it came on suddenly and he's deteriorating rapidly?
Yeah, first of all, because I don't want to violate any court orders, I cannot say he seemed fine. All I can say is I deposed him for more than 6 hours.
Okay.
And it took place in one day. Again, I've seen it time and again through the decades where a defendant, a priest defendant, all of a sudden becomes sick or infirm mentally or physically, and they cannot assist in their own defense. As far as the motions go, I mean, whether that really is the truth is up to the court to decide, and that's going to be decided through experts. Again, McCarrick has his own expert, and the court can appoint someone to evaluate McCarrick, and then they can have a hearing about which expert to believe. So this is going to take place over the ensuing months, I think.
So the expert actually has only submitted a preliminary report. Hasn't, he examined
Yeah.
Mr. McCarrick about 30 days ago and still has not submitted a final report. Is that typical?
Well, yes, I think the report, a full report, will be submitted to the court within the next 30 days by the doctor, and it will be up to court to review the report and determine whether McCarrick should be evaluated by someone appointed by the court.
Is it possible that the state of Massachusetts will not engage its own expert to examine Mr. McCarrick?
Well, I mean, anything's possible. We don't know. I mean, it depends what the report says. But I think the court will probably, I don't know, is the answer to that.
Okay, all right. So, how long do you expect this competency question to delay the actual beginning of the? Because just to be clear for our audience, that has to be settled before the trial can even begin. Correct?
Yeah, because if former Cardinal McCarrick is found not to be competent, there won't be a trial. The case will be dismissed.
Yeah. Okay. How long do you expect that this back and forth between the experts? I mean, how long do you think it might delay things?
It has the potential to delay things months. If the judge reads the expert report of defense counsel and decides that Father McCarrick should be evaluated independently by someone appointed by the court, that's going to take a few months. So it's going to take time. It's going to take time. This could play out over the course of months.
So this is kind of a little bit off topic, but we, Church Militant, we tried to contact the office of the papal nuncio just to verify that Mr. McCarrick had actually been laicized. Would you happen to have any information in that regard?
No, I don't. I don't have any information concerning that.
So just to conclude from sort of a 30,000 foot view, would I be correct in saying that how this criminal trial is proceeding is typical of how the Catholic Church manages these kinds of things? The delays,
without a doubt. They're trying to get the case dismissed, thrown out of court, so that the McCarrick trial doesn't take place, because that's bad publicity for the Catholic Church, which in turn means that they'll receive a smaller amount of donations because of that bad publicity or negative publicity. Catholic Church is all about public relations. We know that they've allowed the wholesale sexual abuse of children for decades by priests while covering it up. This is all just part of their playbook. I just like to say that my client in the McCarrick case is a brave and courageous survivor. It's an honor to represent him, and I thank him for allowing me to stand on his courageous shoulders.
Oh, absolutely. Am I correct, Mr. Garabedian, that this is the only criminal proceeding against Mr. McCarrick? All the others have been civil.
Yes, as far as I know, this is the only criminal proceeding, and it's because of that uniqueness of the Massachusetts law, where alleged perpetrator sexually abuses a child in Massachusetts, then resides out of state, where the statute of limitations tolls or stops running for the time period that the perpetrator was out of state.
Yeah.
And at the time that the perpetrator left the state, the victim was able to file a criminal complaint.
Yeah, very interesting. I always want to be sure and give you the opportunity. Is there anything else you think it would be important for our audience to know about this case or about clergy sex abuse cases generally? Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience?
Sure. If anyone if anyone knows of any crimes committed by priests, or they are a victim of clergy sexual abuse, they should call the police immediately. The church will try to cover it up if you report it to the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church will try to cover it up if you report it to the Catholic Church. You should call the police immediately and ask for an interview and report a crime. Be proud, be strong. The best revenge is to lead a good, healthy life. That's the best revenge. Don't let the criminals win.
Well, thank you very much. Allow me just to say, on behalf of American Catholics, thank you for the work you have done and in helping victims get justice. We're grateful and thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, and thank you for giving victims a voice.